My name is Anuska Taylor and I'm a certified vocal instructor, and welcome back to this video series. This is for speakers and I'm on video 2, so if you missed the first video, please click the link below. But today we're going to talk about one of the things that I see a lot with speakers, which can make them sound insecure or unsure of themselves, which is mumbling / monotone. And I've put these two together because they really go hand in hand. It's very hard to get any sort of melody in your voice if you're mumbling. So they really do work together as a pair. Now, of course, when we hear people that mumble, firstly, it's very hard to understand them. So we have to work really hard to hear what they're actually saying. And much like when someone speaks very quietly, no one wants to work that hard to hear you. And unless they have to listen to you for some reason, most people will probably switch off or get distracted if they can't hear you because you're mumbling, or because, as in the previous video, because you're talking too quietly. So we want to make it as easy for our listeners as possible to understand us. So we want to clearly articulate and move our voice around so it's more interesting to listen to. The other thing, of course, is when you're mumbling and you've sort of got that monotone voice, I mean, it sounds boring to listen to. It sounds like you're bored of yourself, but also it's really in a way like an actual block. I mean, when you don't really open your mouth, it's like you're saying to your audience, I've got nothing interesting to say, don't listen to me, I'm just going to talk to myself. So we want to really allow ourselves to fully express ourselves when we speak. And the other thing I would add as well is that for many people, this often is not conscious. And a lot of people don't know that they mumble. And they may have never thought about it before. And let's be honest, most people probably won't tell you if you do. I know I've personally sat in many a meeting and there's many people that mumble, and people will never say anything to them. So it's just one of those things that you have to start to kind of really become conscious of your own voice. And I would suggest recording yourself speaking so you can start to hear what you're actually doing. One of the things you can try is take a sentence, and I've just got a sentence here. The brown dog leapt over the brown gate. And what I'd like you to do, first of all, we're going to practice with this monotone, or the antidote to monotone, which is we're going to start to intonate. So I'd like you to start that sentence as high as you can go, but higher in your voice. So the brown dog leapt over the gate. And then start low and go high. The brown dog leapt over the gate. And then you might want to intonate, raise your sort of pitch in the middle. The brown dog leapt over the gate. Now, I'm not suggesting that you say sentences like this, but this is just to start to break that pattern of it just being very monotone. And of course, you're going to play around with the intonation depending on what the sentence is that you're reading and where you want to put the emphasis. So it needs to make sense with what you're saying. It's not just, I'm going to raise my pitch here, there and everywhere for the sake of it. It really needs to actually add value to what you're saying. But for the purposes of this exercise, just start to actually be more conscious with where you're moving your pitch. Now, the second part of this exercise is we're going to work on helping you to articulate more so that you mumble less. And so for many people that mumble, they're mumbling because they're not really moving their mouth. And often people just move the jaw, their lips and their tongue as kind of one lump. So the brown dog looked over the gate. I mean, I can say the sentence like that, but it's going to be hard for people to hear me. So you want to start to pay attention to where the consonants are being created. And so, for example, the B is very forward. It's on the tip of your lips. The brown dog. And then the dog is sort of the tip of the tongue here. The brown dog leapt over the gate. Gate is actually, the G is actually created at the back here, but we can be much more forward in the way we speak. So the brown dog leapt over the gate. And it's about becoming really mindful of where am I producing those consonants. So you might want to slow it right down. You might want to elongate those consonants and really sort of languish in them. The brown dog leapt over the gate. And I know it seems very strange and not how you would actually want to speak, but bearing in mind when you are used to mumbling and being very monotone, you have to go to an extreme to sort of break the habit. So it is going to seem almost slightly patronizing to speak like this, but I'm not suggesting that you actually go around speaking like this for real. This is just in your own practice. The other thing to mention as well is practice this in front of a mirror, because many people don't realize how little they open their mouth when they speak. And so they think they're opening their mouth, but they're really not. So practice in front of a mirror and exaggerate it when you're practicing. And then you can play around with lots of other sentences. Just pick some random sentences and just start to play around with changing that kind of intonation and really overpronounce the consonants to start with, and really start to become mindful of where am I actually producing this from. So I hope that's helped. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next video.